campaign to accept that, but it has to be paid before the marriage.
Once she make the dowry, she can't add nothing on to it later on down the line. That's it. She can't add nothing on to it later on down the line. That's it.
There's no more down the line. This is why it has to be done before the marriage.
You know, Dr. Khalifa, what is the limitation of dowry?
Yeah, Diana has a question.
Ayat 228, it says, in case of pregnancy, the man's wishes shall be given priority over the woman's wishes. What does that mean?
It means a couple has been divorced, and then the woman discovers that she's pregnant. In that case, she tells the ex-husband, and he decides, since she's carrying his baby, that he wants to reconcile. The woman hates his guts. She doesn't want to go back to him. So the Quran is saying, in this case, she should give up her feelings and force herself to reconcile for the sake of the baby. And God will make it up to her in that case. It's a commandment. So I'm just exaggerating the situation. This is what it says. Is this what you understood?
Yes, in the case of divorcing 3 times, does that mean a verbal declaration of divorce in one woman, say, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, or something?
That's
So
right.
does that mean that you can marry the same woman after divorcing her up until the 3rd time? Or
Divorce can be
remarried, you can be remarried.
twice. But the verbal utterance, are you in trouble, Abdullah?
Hey, I may be. I will.
I'm just kidding. A verbal utterance in anger does not count. Abdullah, if you say it in anger, you're fighting and arguing, and it doesn't count when you're just angry and you say you're divorced. That's not divorce. Divorce, you have to come to a conclusion that your life together is not working, and really you must part, and so forth. So then you break apart, and she goes to her mother, and you live apart. That's divorce. But in anger, people say it because they're angry. So it doesn't mean divorce.
Actually, the question goes back to
Right. Right. That was the text, thinking and conviction. No. The 226, the waiting period, the cooling off period is 4 months before you make a final decision. And after the 4 months, you can say, go through with it, or you say, no, we're going to reconcile. And God loves that, to reconcile. From the time of separation, the idea is to clear whether there's pregnancy, whether it is the first husband or the new husband. So the interim starts from the time of separation, physical separation. If there are 3 menstruations, the interim is 3 menstruations. Then the woman is sure there is no baby from the previous husband.
how about
So the
widow?
determining factor here is the moment of separation.
Widow has to wait 4 months and 10 days. Why?
Widows. This is the official mourning period in Quran. Mourning. The minimum mourning, sadness, period of sadness. A minimum period of honoring the dead husband. You had a question about the dowry.
Yeah, go back to the dowry. Is there any minimum limit for the dowry, or if the dowry has to be
money or something. It can be anything.
Anything of value.
Well, if there is no limit in the dowry. If the woman comes to tell her husband that you are my slave entire your life, what can you do?
He agrees. As long as the two of them. As long as they both agree on it.
I don't know who it was.
Let's hear the question.
It was his old chef, you know, and I don't know if he had this feeling I do, but it was highly recommended. I mean, everybody listens to this guy. It's highly recommended that the dowry should be something like not up to $5 to not over $10 as much as money value.
That's a hadith.
Yeah, Muhammad.
The price of a wife in Libya now is $60,000. Linda is holding an, oh, you know. You have the note, Linda?
I got two daughters. I'm getting ready to get rich.
All the sisters be running over Libya there.
Can you take the Quran as a dowry?
Saudi Arabia, it's $100,000 now.
$100,000.
Yes. So,
In American money?
yes, and last month the king issued
That sounds like that's out of hand.
the king issued a decree to lower the dowry because the Saudi men were going outside of Saudi Arabia to get married.
I mean, that means you gotta work for the woman.
You got to be a slave just to have a wife.
So, and as a matter of
That's
fact,
a form of idleness.
they sometimes they will say, okay, you will accept $10,000 if you sign $1 million note in case of divorce. So this you force the husband never to divorce his wife. There are all kinds of playing around there. But the laws are stated in Quran very deep. They call it advance and arrears.
But it has to be between the man and woman who marries, right? But over there in Turkey, it handles by the parents of the man and woman.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes for questions. We're going to stop right here. These are the divorce laws as seen, are very clear, self-explanatory, and very detailed.
Another question.
Yeah.
Why did you connect the verse 34 and 35?
Because it deals with the widow.
Yeah, 34 and 35 because it's specified. It says.
Yeah, it does. It's connected with the widow. You're in trouble after that.
About the divorce again. I heard in some in fact with many people do the divorce. I divorced you 3 times.
Yeah.
He said that, literally.
Yeah. It doesn't, that's not divorce. That's one if he means it. Yeah. If he thought about it, then he has to wait 12 months before the decision is final.
So there is no such thing as I divorced you 3 times. That's one.
No. The idea is that a man and a woman are married and the marriage doesn't work, so they go apart. Then they reconcile and they live together for a while, and then it doesn't work out, so they break apart. That's two. Then they say, well, let's try again, and they reconcile, and they're together for another year, and then they break apart. So God is saying, you guys are not good for each other, I want to try somebody else. So on the fourth time, she has to marry somebody else. And of course, there are lots of movies about this in the Middle East, because it happens in real life and in movies that there's a couple that they had 3 divorces, and now she has to marry somebody else, according to the Quranic law. So they say, okay, let's go out in the street and find some drunk bum or something and get him to marry you, and then and this will fulfill the requirement. So they go out in the street and find the first transient or some bum sitting on the sidewalk or something. They bring him in and they bring the judge, and he marries the divorcee. And of course they are guarding him all night, to make sure that he's not commencing the marriage. The movies come in where this bum all of a sudden becomes very smart and he says, no, I'm not going to divorce her. She's my wife. And then all the problems that arise from that. So the movie goes on and on. But it does happen in real life, actually.
But, if this rule goes for the woman too, if man dies, that usually the case that the woman, let's say that the woman died, the man has to wait 4 months, 10 days. It doesn't account for that.
The man doesn't get pregnant.
No. This is about
The idea is to clear any baby. You have to know who the father is.
I thought it was about the mourning.
Talking about death.
The man doesn't have to. There's no intent for the man. In fact, the man can have 10 other wives on the side. I must go back and talk and mention that those people who try to deceive, get around the Quranic laws, are only deceiving themselves. Because you must follow God's commandments out of conviction. Not try to get around it. Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll pray a shot. We're gonna pray or writing. But in the normal times you shall commemorate God according to his teachings. Okay? Let's say you're riding a car and you're going on a long trip. These are abnormal circumstances. You can pray while in the car. You can make tayammum in the car. So in a way to tayammum, just touch the seat in front of you, just like the Quran says, and do your face and your hands. And then you do the prayers moving your head. You can have an imam in the car. Possibly the driver. You can stop the car and go somewhere and pray, that would be better. But if you have to catch a certain, you have a certain appointment and you're late and nobody can stop, you still, God will accept it, inshallah.
What about if you send them an unemployment line? and you're getting close to a
Yeah,
prayer.
you can pray anywhere you want. You can pray anywhere. Salat prayer is the one worship where there's absolutely no excuse for not doing it. You can't think of any excuse. You cannot. There's absolutely no way you can say I was doing this or I was doing that.
When you're sick.
Even when you're sick, if you're paraplegic, you can pray with your eyelids.
It's hard to do that though,
So,
Proceed.
so say for example, on Tuesday, working all afternoon, about 4 o'clock, I could just stop and the room isn't too busy, I could just pray to myself. And I don't have to worry about going out or anything like that. Just go out.
It'd be better if you go make your wudu and go find a quiet place and pray. The normal thing. But if it is not possible, yes, you can pray at your desk.
It's especially recommended if you're traveling or if you're on a bus, for example, or on a plane, and
Right.
waiting for someone in the hospital or something.
See, the 239, the verse is very wide, you know. It says, under abnormal circumstances. And you are the one who can judge what you can or cannot do. You cannot cheat yourself. If you are in any way able to do the salat in the normal way, do it that way. Otherwise, you'll be cheating yourself. You say, no, I can't do it the other way.
What if there's...
You can keep the children apart, they be quiet. Keep them apart. Keep the children apart, they be quiet. Jamila, come and sit next to Daddy.
Janita.
That's a good. You know, children when together they make noise. On the next subtitle, that's not my section, but just want to point out that the Quran goes out of its way to guarantee the rights of the women. A lot of people around the world confuse but I can make it fly. Come here, Aisha. Come here. Come here, Aisha. The people around the world are confusing the traditions that are dominant in the Islamic world with what the Quran does. There's a big rumor that Islam oppresses women, but the opposite is exactly true. As you see here, there's alimony for widows and divorces is a Quranic injunction. So who wants to take the next 3 verses? The truth, you want to take it?
Those among you who die and leave widows behind shall bequeath enough support for their widows to last them 1 full year, provided they choose to stay in the husband's household. If they choose to leave, then you incur no sin by letting them do whatever they wish, so long as they maintain righteousness. That is almighty wise. For the divorcees, equitable alimony shall be provided. This is an incumbent duty upon the righteous. God thus explains the regulations for you that you may understand. This 240 tells us that the widows that whose husband is dead if the widow stayed in the husband's house, then she is entitled to 1 year's support. So who is this support? From
The husband will have to make sure that he is leaving enough support for the widow, for his widow or widows to last 1 year. Support for 1 year.
That besides their share of the estate,
Yes.
that's like
Well, unless the share of the estate will guarantee that, they just have to see to it.
Could this be what it says, talks about dividing the state after special bequeathal? Like special.
Well, the widow is supposed to get 1/4 of the estate. The widow is supposed to get 1/4 of the estate.
But what if they choose to leave the house?
If they get married, then they don't need, leaving the household means she wants to go back to her father's house, or wants to remarry, or something. She wants to give up that bequeath. It's kind of alimony. That's why I call it alimony. It's a kind of support.
But that's part of her share of the estate.
No, it could be the same or could be separate. You just the idea is that when a man marries a woman, she's not the same anymore, and she may become dependent on him at least partially. So the idea is to guarantee her at least a year of support. So before she looks for something else.
Can I say something on this? Well, this is my interpretation, because this is something that we actually meet these cases in our country. I'm just going to tell you what they do in our country. This has nothing to do with inheritance of the widow. In our country, where families live together, it's not just a nuclear family. In the household, you have brothers, sisters, and so on. She has her share of the inheritance. That is something else. The way we interpret this is as follows. Somebody takes over the household. Maybe it's a son or a brother of the deceased. That widow, if she will remain in the household, must be guaranteed support for at least 1 year. Unless, as Mr. is saying, she decides to go back to her father or to her brother, or she has enough means of her own and she wants to be independent and she gets her children with her. Now let's take my case. Let's say I die, and the one who takes over more or less the responsibility of the household where they all live together, normally he's a brother or an oldest son, he must take care of guarantee my widow for at least 1 year. And I think that is very close to this. Over and above the inheritance. But if she doesn't want to stay, she can get her inheritance and leave. And the head of the household is not obliged now to feed her in another household, because she has left the household. He's telling her, if you want me to feed you for 1 year, you stay. But if you go, then you're on your own. Maybe you want to do what you want. Or maybe she has a prospective husband, So give her a chance to go.
The Quran is designed to cover all circumstances. There are circumstances where if the inheritance laws cover the 1 year support for the wife, then there's no need to worry about it. But if the circumstances require it, we will have to see that the widow is provided for 1 year. Okay, back to Gatul. Go ahead.
I just was wondering, in Sura 4, verse 12, it talks about deducting any special will that does not infringe upon the rights of the entire estate. I was wondering if that's kind of what it was referring to, that.
Say it again.
Sure.
It talks about dividing the estate after deducting any special will. And I was wondering if that's what it was referring to.
No, this refers, some people have secret charities. And now that I think about the people who have secret widows, that you want to guarantee that, I know of 2 instances where people, the man will have to specify the charity that he supported, or if he has a wife that nobody knows about, she must have a year's support. So the Quran covers all circumstances.
support what you say. It's very general. And if we go into details, you will see how good this is. For example, I have 2 wives because you must make allowance. Unfortunately, I only have 1, but anyhow. Hypothetically, suppose I leave 2 widows behind.
It's too late, then.
Yeah, I know. What can I do?
Just wait till the rumors
Yeah.
start. Tima who has 2
Yeah.
wives.
Suppose I leave 2 widows behind. This might apply only to one of the widows. For example, if widow A has no children, but widow B has children, and the children will take over the household. So maybe widow 1 does not want to stay in that house. She wants to go back to her father or to her brother. Because this case will not happen to widow 2. Widow 2 would like to stay in that household. So it's not a problem for widow 2. It might be a problem for widow 1, maybe, inshallah, widow 3 and widow 4. No, it's a very interesting phenomenon. It makes allowance for those who want to leave the household. But if a man has only 1 widow, and that widow is with the children take over the household, then this will not be applied. See, because she will always stay with her children. That is her household.
So that takes care of more than 1 wife.
It's general enough to take.
How the inheritance was divided when there
Any
was more
person
than
that you
one
can,
wife.
any person that you can call a widow has to just provide support for 1 year if they need it,
Yeah.
just to guarantee their support. But
Is insurance forbidden, or what is it about insurance? Would that be like the alimony, or?
what's the relationship?
Life insurance.
Yeah, life insurance, yeah. I had heard that, Muslims don't have insurance. I don't know what it would do, what it's going to
I think insurance is haram.
It's like, yeah.
It's a game of chance. It's a game of chance because I can buy, you can buy insurance, pay 1 installment of $200 and cash $100,000 in the next month.
Kill your wife,
It's a game of
get all
chance.
the money. She can kill you and get the money.
Yeah.
She might decide to poison you.
That fellow who put cyanide in his wife's
Yeah.
food, he was buying insurance for her a month before. So
And the other one just in Tucson. In Tucson, this lady, she shot her husband in the office parking lot, and she had the cheek to demand.
yeah, the insurance.
The insurance was 250 or so.
Very well planned.
Now, I don't know if you don't need to go, but in Islamic law, at least in the Philippines, this woman cannot inherit 1 single cent from the man she killed. She cannot inherit. His brothers, his children can inherit, but the person who kills such a man, she cannot accept it. No judge in the Philippines.
That's a little bit worse than divorce.
No.
It's like she divorced him, It's a little bit worse. So she's not his wife anymore.
This is probably too far, but what about if the insurance is not mandatory? Car insurance is not mandatory.
All government insurance.
Okay, on the mandatory insurance, folks, if you have a question about it, here's what I'm going to do, but I don't know, don't hold me legally responsible for it. They started January 1st by demanding that you have a notarized affidavit, that you sign a paper saying that you are insured. But they found that it is too much work, and now the law is that all you need is sign a paper saying I am insured. Now I will go and I will sign a paper that I am insured with Allah. And if they want Allah's phone number, I have no
Dial GOD.
Now if they catch me later on and they say, hey, you don't have insurance, this is perjury or something, I'll prove to them that I have insurance with Allah. And this was the code, the American code will come handy. If they have the time to listen, I will show them. Because we do have insurance with Allah. And it is the best insurance in that you do not have accidents. Alhamdulillah. I have to say Alhamdulillah because I don't want to go out there and have an accident. But this is the difference between God's insurance and the insurance company's insurance. If you have insurance with insurance companies, you will have accidents and they will pay for you. But if you have insurance with Allah, you will not have the accidents to start with. So the mandatory insurance, alhamdulillah, there were more people complaining about it than ours. Back to Gatul.
I think we go to 241 now. So the alimony is actually here, you know that the alimony is should be provided
In Islamic law.
in Islamic law. But about the amount,
The amount is really depends on how much you can afford, how much the husband can afford. So it's left up to you. But for the divorces, equitable alimony shall be provided. This is an incumbent duty upon the righteous.
It might also depend on how long the marriage lasted. You could just married with.
So what you feel is, see, God left it up to you. It's an incumbent duty upon the righteous. And the righteous people will be responsible for it. And you have to go a little bit more against yourself. I mean, the person who's paying the alimony. So if you think you can afford $50, you go and pay $75. It's kind of thing. Because it's God's recommendation.
what is divorces mean? Is it also for the man or strictly for the woman? Is alimony is only given to the woman or
You know, open a can of worms. No, this is for the women. It's because the Arabic shows the feminine, divorced women, divorcees. Is the man called divorcee also?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
May I,
Then in my next translation I will say divorced women, because the Arabic is very specific.
may I mention something about also the Islamic spirit? Actually, in many cases, Islam discriminates against the men, quote unquote. It's in favor of the woman. I'll explain why.
Because it's racial,
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Divorce here has to refer only to women, cannot be a man. Because the one who pronounces the divorce is the man. And therefore, in any case, the woman is the aggrieved party.
They're always.
And that's why in actual practice, when a woman is, let's say, maltreated by her husband, etc., 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 she asks for a divorce from her husband. You get the point?
But that's a simple. That's a simple.
No, yeah, I would say how the Islamic spirit has developed. So, and
if the
if
children are apart, somebody's making a lot of noise.
and if he refuses, sometimes the judge declares the divorce. So, when she asks for a divorce and he refuses, the judge declares it for him. Or he grants he makes the divorce, he declares the divorce. So in any case, even if the woman is the one who wants the divorce or wants to be divorced, since it's the husband who declares the divorce, she is the aggrieved party. And therefore, strictly speaking in Islam, only a woman is a divorcee. This has to be a woman. A woman cannot tell a man, I divorce you, husband, no. She can make his life so miserable that he divorces her. Then she gets what she wants. Because she can always say, well, you divorced me, you must give me back my dowry. If you have kept it, you must give me this. So it's always, I think, the Islamic spirit has always leaned more for the women. I'm not complaining, but I'm trying to show that this, what you earlier said, that Islam has always been against women. I don't know, this has been a black propaganda against Islam. And let me mention, the idea of inheritance was only found in England. Women began to inherit in England only in the last century. And this is, how old is this book? Inheritance for women is found as early as 1,400 years ago. It took the West 100 years. Not only that, even the other men were discriminated because only the oldest one gets it.
Right, that's right.
So they discriminate against women and the younger brothers.
So I think where the thing against women got the, where Islam got the bad press and got being against women, certainly wasn't the Quran, but from the Hadith and the Sunnah.
No,
And they don't even know the
common
difference.
law.
People don't know the difference.
Common law.
Traditions from Satan.
From Satan, yeah.
Satan realizes that the woman is half the society, even more than half, actually.
More than half.
The women raise the children. Women are more than half the society. And Satan made them a target. He doesn't want them to go to the Friday prayer. So there are hadiths against the women going to the Friday prayer. He doesn't want them to go to the mosque. He doesn't want them to pray when they have menstruation. He doesn't want them to fast when they have menstruation. So Satan concentrated on the women. The Quran is clearly guarantees the women's rights. You may find it interesting to that my understanding of the Quran is that the woman can also divorce the man. This is my understanding. My understanding is marriage is an agreement between two people. The two people are married for as long as both of them agree that they are married to each other. If one party, either the man or the woman, decides it's over, it's over. This makes it illegal. If one party is dissatisfied. But the traditions back home have been for a long time that only the man can say, I divorce you. And she's divorced. This is in the monetary transactions in a loan. It's the one instance where you cannot have a man and a woman witnessing because the man can marry the woman. And
Do away with the woman.
and do away with it. If the man marries the woman, they become like one witness. So he may influence her or she may influence him, and they are not anymore qualified as two different witnesses. So that's why we have to have three witnesses.
I suppose that he married both of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, what if he married the two of them? It's very unlikely. Actually, if he marries the two of them, it's still safe because you have no idea how much rivalry and jealousy is between the two wives of one man. I mean, we hear all kinds of stories. If you read Sinabad wrote a book about Iranian society and the rumors about wives killing the children of the other wives and so forth, right? The rivalry is unbelievable. So when if one of the women lies about the loan transaction, the other one will be so frustrated. In fact, this is what the Quran says. This is what the verse says. If one of them deviates, the other will correct them. So even in that instance, if the man marries the two of them, this still guarantees the safety of the testimony.
Well, what about, I mean, if it was, if there were no male witnesses, if there was only women witnesses, if the whole transaction was just among women?
That's
Would
a
you
very
still need,
theoretical situation.
huh?
That's a very theoretical situation.
Why? And it's very common.
I'm thinking of the verse that you
I mean, there's a lot of women now that have businesses. You know, that's in fact, that's one of the biggest things they were talking about on the radio, TV. One of the fastest growth number of women with run a business. And I guess all through
But the verse says you have two male witnesses, or one male and two female. So I'm sure you can find a man. Okay, back to Gattuso.
I think 242 is not.
Yeah, it will explain the revelations for you. Very good point. Okay, Dean Mahmoud, pass on the next verses.
You shall courageously struggle for the cause of God. What do you think of those who fled their homes, though they numbered in the thousands, because they feared death? Consequently, God said to them, die, then revive them. God is gracious toward the people, but most people are not appreciative. You shall courageously fight for the cause of God, and know that God is here, fully aware. Would you not loan God a righteous loan, that he multiplies for you manifold? Well, 243. Well, in general, we know what this means. I don't know if it refers to a particular event. But the idea is that well, I was thinking that we have to die sooner or later. And this refers to, as I say, I don't know whether it's historical or in general, that these are people who flee from their homes. They are by the thousands, and they fear death. But anyhow, they fear death, they leave their house, but in any case, Allah made them die, so they cannot forestall death. Now, regarding the reviving them, this could mean, in any case also, men will be recreated. But that would be on the day of judgment. But in the very act of creating man, of giving him a second creation, giving them, mankind, a second creation, it's still a form of graciousness towards them. And people do not understand why Allah has to judge mankind, why Allah has to revive us after death and judge us. But the commandment is clear. Fight. Because if you're afraid and you run away, verse 243 says, in any case, you will die. And Allah can make you die. So if you're going to die, might as well die. This is pragmatic. Might as well die in a good cause. And what cause is better than that of Allah? No, this is, I've seen this. I've seen people fight for Islam, and really, I've seen them die in actual struggle. Would you not loan God a righteous loan, that he multiplies for you manifold? Again, this is general, but let me make it specific. If you are willing to give your life for the cause of Allah, this is like a loan. He will give you a better life in the year after. And certainly, the substitution of a good life in paradise is much better. It's a multiplication of the highest order than the kind of life that is short, sad, and sometimes very difficult for all of us. So, if Allah demands your life, give it to Him as a loan, and you will get back the interest manifold. That's the way I look at it. There are times really, in the United States things are calmer here, but I don't know what can happen in the future. Only Allah knows the future. But in many countries, there are cases when a man is asked to stand up to be counted for the defense of Islam, even to the sacrifice of his family. It's hard to talk like this, but I've seen people who have died for the cause of Islam, and they live in the memories of many of us. And we wish, or hope, and actually deep enough we believe that people like that are really martyrs and they deserve paradise.
Doesn't it say something similar if you guys jihad for Islam?
Yeah, this is what that's what I'm suggesting.
Yeah. That's what I like.
Well, you see, when you come to La ilaha illallah, people will declare war on you anyway.
You bet.
And it's mainly because Satan always moves his agents against you. The moment you are, especially if you're going to be a significant force for worshiping God alone, there'll be all kinds of forces that fight you. And if you're not courageous enough to stand up for those fights and be ready to face them, then you don't qualify for result. There's tremendous reward that goes with it. And the first verse, my understanding of it is, that is verse 241, 243. What do you think of those who fled their homes, though they numbered in the thousands? This is an actual incident in the past, my understanding of it in the Quran. People who believed in God, and there were other people who didn't like it. Just the way it is happening today. So they went to attack those people, and they didn't want to stand up for them. They fled their homes. And my understanding of the Quran, this is one of the incidents where God actually made them die, so they see that death is nothing. It's not that horrible. And then God revived them, and He made them aware that they were dead. They experienced death, and they were revived. So the lesson here was that God wanted them to show them that death is nothing to be feared or nothing to worry about.
What is that event that you're describing?
This is what the verse says.
Oh, you mean that's the way you understand it? You mean?
This is what the Quran says.
Yeah.
The Quran says they were afraid of death, so they fled their homes. They didn't want to die. So God made them die and then revived them. There are a few instances of death and resurrection in Quran. First, the man who was passing by a community that was a ghost town, and he said, "How can I revive this after it's so wiped out?" So God put him to death for 100 years, and then revived him. That's one instance. The other one, right? Exactly. The other one is the people of the cave, who were dead for 309 years, and then revived. And this is the third. This is the third instance. Yeah. Pardon? Right. Also, the man who they used part of the cow to revive it, you know? And he told who killed him. So that's another instance. So there are a few instances in Quran where God revived the dead.
So this is thousands of people at once.
This is thousands. Yes. God told the whole community to die. They died and then revived them. I told them, see, it wasn't too bad. Because death wasn't bad. Actually, we all experienced death because we were born. And you didn't miss Abraham Lincoln, did you? I mean, you didn't care. You were dead. It's the same, it's just a wave. We're the wave that's alive now at this point. But we all experienced death before. Wasn't bad, was it?
Right.
Really nothing to fear. Especially if you know that the time and place and the manner of your death is already written down, because it's in your videotape, exactly when, where, and how you will die. It's already decided. There is nothing anybody can do to change that. Nothing. Aisha, come here. Come to the imam. Not to scare her. Into sight. So 244 says, you shall courageously fight for the cause of God and know that God is here fully aware. The believer is always victorious. Adib, you want to take that? By the way, excuse me, Adib. It's 15 minutes to 9 and we have to rush a little early today because I find this interesting.
Because this is a long one. This is one subject.
Yeah, this is the long section.
It's a long section.
Well, Adib can take a couple of verses anyway. Yeah, this is the long one. But many of you met my sister and she's arriving tonight. Her husband...
The doctor?
Yeah. Her husband won a scholarship to study at the university. This is an Egyptian government scholarship. So she'll be here for at least 4 years, inshallah. And she's arriving on Republic Airlines flight number, you guessed it, 19. Which I take as a good sign. I was worried about her husband, whether he makes it or not. Because alhamdulillah she made it. She came to La ilaha illallah and she rejected hadith and sunnah and there was nothing to her. But I wasn't sure about her husband because I never met him before. Yeah, he's the main one. She's accompanying him.
Oh, he's done.
So I have to rush to the airport, inshallah. So when Adib will discuss the 3 verses, 246, 47, 48.
Have you noted the elders of Israel after the time of Moses who said to their prophets, appoint a king for us if you want us to fight for the cause of God? He said, is it your intention that when fighting is decreed for you, you will not fight? They said, why should we not fight for the cause of God when we were forcibly evicted from our homes and deprived of our children? Yet when fighting was decreed for them, they turned away, except for a few. God is fully aware of the wrongdoers. Then the prophet said to them, God has appointed Talut to be your king. They said, how come he be our king? How could he be our king when we are more worthy of kingship than he is, and he is not rich? He said, God has chosen him and endowed him with abundance in both mind and body. God grants kingship to whomever he wills. God is bounteous, omniscient. The prophet said to them, the sign of his kingship is that the ark of the covenant will come to you, bringing assurance from your Lord and relics from the time of Moses and Aaron. The angels will bring it to you. This should be a convincing sign for you if you are really believers. One of the points I think discussed here is that material wealth is not the criterion for God's choosing a person for a certain mission. It's also a description of people who might say things without actually meaning it, saying things hypocritically, like these people who said they would, why wouldn't we fight for God when, but actually, they some of them didn't, and many of them didn't. Oh, yes.
Well, this of course is a historical incident narration of how Saul became a king, and it is identical to what's in the Bible. When you read the Bible about Saul, you find that it is identical, that Saul, they objected that why should Saul be the king when he's not rich? Because to them, material wealth is the most important thing, and what distinguishes a person from another. But the criterion for distinguishing among people as far as God is concerned is righteousness, as you know. And also the fact that he was taller. The Bible says he's a head taller than any of you, this kind of thing. So the story here is identical to what we see in the Bible. Also, there's a mention of the ark. Did any of you see the movie? So there's some truth to the movie.
What movie?
What's the name of the movie? I forget. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark. The ark has tremendous power associated with it. It has a biblical basis to it.
Yeah, but what is very interesting is that the Quran reveals that many people have asked what was inside the ark. The Quran says that these are relics after the word now. These are things belonging to Moses and Aaron, which in time could have...
Probably the tablets. I wonder if it's the tablets that were written by God. So yeah, maybe that's what it is.
But I'm not so sure that the Bible specifically mentioned.
Okay, folks,
Well, they say that nobody's allowed to look inside of it. They keep saying if anybody looks inside of it, they die.
Yeah. Many people went to the Holy of Holies and they opened it, they didn't find anything. They didn't find the ark anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to have the prayer at 6 o'clock as usual. We're enjoying the long night. We have probably a couple more months. Just close and then pray Isha. We have our Fatiha.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin.
Congratulations.